Have you ever been in a situation where you knew the answer to something, but you were just too afraid to trust in yourself? That actually happened to me one summer evening at a McDonald's rooftop. The way I saw that and what happened at that service call that I attended to totally changed the way how I saw my work and my growth as an HVAC technician. By the end of this video, I want to go ahead and share with you all 5 different lessons that helped me that night to be able to progress, to be able to grow faster as an HVAC technician. So if you're new to the field, if you're new as an HVAC technician, this video is for you and these lessons are for you to go ahead and progress and speed that process up and to grow faster out there in the field. So check it out. It was one summer evening that we had already finished up all of our work. We were heading back to the shop, and then the dispatcher finally called us and said, hey, there's an emergency call at McDonald's. We need you guys to go over there because it's the AC system for the kitchen area. And so since the restaurant never closes, so then it was our job to go ahead and go over there and try to see whatever we could do to go ahead and make that AC system function again. So we headed over there, and it was very interesting because what happened next was very, very nerve-wracking, but very, very exciting at the same time. So bear with me. This is what happened. So check it out. We were at McDonald's. So this is my McDonald's right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put a roof on top, and this is my McDonald's. All right. See the entrance of McDonald's right there. And then we were parked, let's say outside here. This is our work van. This is, let me go ahead and make this one a little bit longer. That's our work van right there. This is our ladders right here. So that's our work vehicle right there. We were outside in the parking lot of this certain McDonald's that we had to go ahead and service. At that time, it was myself and it was a lead technician who was working at that company. And he said something very, very important to me. He said, hey, Juan, why don't we go ahead and do something different? So he said, hey, Juan, let's go ahead and do something different. And I was like, yeah, sure. What is it? What is it that you want to go ahead and do? He's like, why don't we go ahead and change roles? Why don't we go ahead and make it seem like, okay, why don't you take care of the service call for today, or in this case, this service call, and I'll go ahead and be the assistant, and I'll go ahead and help you in whatever you need. I'll be there to go ahead and guide you and show you what is it that you need to do. But for the most part, I'm going to go ahead and leave this job for you. You're the one in charge. You're the lead technician. Immediately, my eyes went open, and I was like, what is this guy talking about? Why would he want me to be the lead technician, especially in a commercial service call like this? So, I mean, if you've ever been there, if you've ever been in this situation, you know what I'm talking about. You know how that feeling is, that all of a sudden you start getting that churn in your stomach, and you start self-doubting yourself and saying, what if this happens, or what if that happens? So if you've ever been in an HVAC company and you started off where you were the helper or you were the assistant, and then all of a sudden you got the call where you're like, hey, the helper didn't come in today, or you know what, I need the lead technician to head over there to this other job, and then they send you to go ahead and do a service call on your own. How did you feel? What did you experience? For me, it was nerve-wracking that day, and that's because I was with somebody. I wasn't even by myself. I was now becoming the lead technician. Well, in this case, in this service call, I became the lead technician. In my mind, I was like, wait, what? You want me to go ahead and lead this service call? You want me to become the lead technician? He said, yeah, go ahead and be the lead technician. Go ahead and lead the call. So you know what I did? I accepted the challenge. In reality, what I wanted to do is I wanted to get myself back in the service van, and then I wanted to go ahead and drive out of there. That's what I wanted to do. But I decided to go ahead and go with it and say, okay, let me go ahead and accept the challenge, and let me go ahead and see what happens after this. So now, the AC systems for the McDonald's restaurants, they're usually located on top of McDonald's. So they're up here. So we had to go ahead and service one of those AC systems, and McDonald's usually has a kind of like a service ladder or type ladder, an access point for you to go ahead and climb and get onto the roof. So they have kind of like this opening right here, and the ladder kind of goes all the way up. And so you're able to service those AC systems. You're able to go ahead and go up there and to see what's going on with the equipment that you had to go ahead and service. So we went up there, and the technician at that time, the lead technician, he said, okay, so what is it that you're going to go ahead and do? So as I approached the AC system, I ended up taking off the panels. I ended up opening the AC system, and I ended up checking everything that I could go ahead and check. I ended up checking, the evaporator coil. I ended up checking the condenser coil. I ended up checking the condenser fan motor. I ended up checking my pressures. I ended up checking about everything that I could think of. Eventually, I came to the conclusion that what was actually happening was this is what was going on. The problem was the belt. In this case, because the system here, it was a belt-driven system, it required a belt to go ahead and move the blower wheel. So that means that you have your blower wheel and you have your blower motor, two pulleys interconnected with a fan belt. That fan belt was just too loose. What was going on is that not enough airflow was going through my evaporator, so my system was freezing up on me. And so my lead technician, when we were up here, and he ended up asking me this question. So Juan, what's wrong with the system? What's going on with the system? What is it that you found? And then all of a sudden I said, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the system. I don't know what's actually happening. And so he said, well, what is it that you need me to do? I didn't know what I needed him to do. I didn't know. Actually, I had already knew, or in this case, I already knew what the right answer was. I already knew what the problem was. It was the belt. The belt was just too loose. I needed to go ahead and replace it. Either I got to go ahead and tighten the motor, or I got to go ahead and replace the belt. But I ended up saying, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what's actually going on with the system. So he said, okay, continue looking for the problem and go ahead and tell me if you ever need something so I could go ahead and help you out. So I ended up looking for more problems. Problems that were not even there. I ended up looking at the evaporator coil again. I ended up looking at the filters. I ended up looking at everything. What I wanted for him to do is I wanted for him to step in. And eventually he ended up telling me that. Eventually he pulled me aside and he said, Juan, I don't have all night. What's going on with this AC system? And I said, well, he said, Juan, you know what the answer is. You know what's actually going on with the system. So what's the problem? And I said, well, the actual problem, it's the belt. He said, why didn't you tell me this in the first place? Like, I knew you knew what the problem was in the first place, and then you told me that you didn't know. No, you have to go ahead and trust in yourself. You have to trust in the process. This saves us time and this saves us money. But at the same time, this helps you grow. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in what? You have to believe in that process. If you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe in that process, you're never going to go ahead and grow. And then he told me something very, very important. He said, Juan, not only are you going to be a good technician, in this case, you're not only a good technician, you are a good technician, but not only are you going to be a good technician, you're going to be great. He said that. He said, not only are you going to be a good technician, you're going to be great. That was awesome. That's what I needed to hear. I needed to hear that from him. And it was very, very encouraging to go ahead and hear something like that from him. After that, we ended up replacing the fan belt. Of course, we closed everything up and we went back into our service van. While I was there, he ended up showing me, in this case, he ended up teaching me these 5 lessons that I learned that night that helped me build my way up, that helped me progress out there in the field as an HVAC technician. These are the 5 lessons. Remember, these are the 5 lessons that lead technician taught me that night that I want to go ahead and share with you all to help you advance and grow in your HVAC career. So lesson number 1, it taught me that a great technician has to have patience. I take you back to that service call at that McDonald's rooftop that night. And remember, I ended up rushing things. I ended up speeding things. And what could have eventually happened is some type of accident could have happened. I am trying to avoid, or in this case, we're trying to avoid any type of accidents. So remember, We have to go ahead and understand that growth and confidence doesn't happen overnight. So you have to learn to be patient and you have to learn to trust in the process. The next thing that lead technician taught me that night was that a great technician also has to build his or her confidence. I knew that it was the belt that was actually causing the problem with the AC system, but I decided to say that I didn't know what was going on with the AC system. My lead technician that day, he ended up pulling me aside and he said, Juan, you have the skill sets, you just don't believe in yourself. So you have to believe in yourself and you have to believe in the process. The next one is questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You need to understand what's actually happening with these HVAC systems out there in the field. Make sure that you ask questions. These questions are going to go ahead and help you learn and make better decisions. You need clarity. And how do you get clarity? Well, you need to go ahead and ask the questions. You overthink things, what's going to happen is those things are just going to go ahead and freeze you in your place. You're not going to go ahead and progress the way that you need to. So always make sure that you're always asking questions. The next thing is that you want to go ahead and make sure that you keep yourself educated. Remember, your skill sets, they matter. The more that you practice, the better that you become. So remember this, you want to go ahead and educate yourself, not only on your skill sets to become more confident, to become more patient, but you have to understand that you have to educate yourself on the actual equipment that you're working on. The AC system, the refrigeration system, what is it that they're doing? How is it that they function? Not only that, what's going on out there in the market? What things are changing? Because remember, in this trade, change happens fast and change happens every single year, possibly every single month, even every single day. So we have to go ahead and keep ourselves informed. Remember that your knowledge is your foundation. The last thing that he taught us that night, in this case that he taught me that night, is that any individual has to have a good mentor. Remember that you want to go ahead and get a mentor that will guide you, that will go ahead and challenge you, and not only that, that will go ahead and correct you whenever you're wrong. A great mentor, remember that a great mentor will go ahead and indicate where you're doing wrong and he'll go ahead and help you along the way. He'll go ahead and guide you and show you some things that you yourself don't even see. Remember this, that whenever you're choosing a mentor out there in the field, you have to understand that just because that individual has, let's say, 20 years out there in the field, does not make him a good mentor. He's probably been in the same position for the last 15 years. Well, there's a problem there. If he hasn't progressed and you haven't seen any growth from that individual, the way you want to grow yourself, the way you want to go ahead and progress out there in the field, then that's not a good mentor for you. You have to go ahead and find the right mentor. Believe me, there's a lot of individuals out there that have a lot of skill sets, that have a lot of experience, that are hungry to teach the next generation to become better HVAC technicians. So make sure you go ahead and you choose the right mentor. So if you have ever doubted yourself, remember, patience, confidence, questions, education, and the right mentorship are keys to your growth. Trust in yourself, keep learning, and remember, don't be afraid to step up. So now, if you're a technician that's out there in the field, and if you want to go ahead and continue to educate yourself, you want to go ahead and build more confidence, more patience, you want to go ahead and understand that these questions that you're asking, how can I go ahead and improve? Let me be your mentor. Let me go ahead and help you out. What I did for you all is I created an airflow chart. This airflow chart is going to go ahead and help you how to diagnose a system a lot better. The airflow chart will go ahead and indicate where you need to start and where you go ahead and finish to help you go ahead and progress and grow out there in the field. If you want to go ahead and have access to that flow chart, you want to go ahead and get your own flow chart, the link will be down in the description below. If you go ahead and you sign up for that flow chart, you will also get access to my newsletter. The newsletter, just like the airflow chart, is 100% free. In that newsletter, I'm going to go ahead and share different tips, different things that are happening out there in the market, the different changes, and different lessons that could help you also build confidence, build patience, go ahead and help you understand how to progress better out there in the field. So once again, It's completely free. You can go ahead and go to the link in the description below and go ahead and sign up. I also want to go ahead and tell you, if this story that I went and I shared with you all today, if it resonated with you, make sure to go ahead and leave a thumbs up. Make sure to go ahead and press that like button. Make sure to also subscribe for future videos for more lessons like this. And also, what I wanted to go ahead and ask you all is, if you all have a story to go ahead and share, kind of like the story that I shared with you all today, if you all have a story where a mentor or someone ended up helping you out, progress better out there in the field, I would love to hear it. So make sure to go ahead and leave that comment. I would love to hear it, and everybody else would love to go ahead and hear it, so they could go ahead and hear that story and possibly help them out to go ahead and progress out there in the field. So once again, thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for everything that you guys have and continue to do. That being said, I'll go ahead and I'll see you on the next one.